Hello, friends. This is Fort Worth Roots, a variety interview podcast recorded in Fort Worth, Texas. This episode is one of a 10-part block that we're releasing for the launch. For show notes and social media links, go to www.fortworthroots.com. My guest today is the owner of Salted Pages, a copywriting and content marketing company. She specializes in website copywriting, email funnels, SEO copywriting, and she recently moved to Fort Worth with her husband from Utah. Please give it up for the incredible Lauren Kutschke. We talk a little bit today about moving to Texas, her husband's life as a new pilot. I try to talk Lauren into starting her own podcast, and she tells us how her business, Salted Pages, how it works. We talk about travel destinations and gambling, all sorts of fun stuff. Thank y'all for being here. Let's start the show. Flight school, you have to go and get your private pilot license, and then you have to get your instruments and your commercial rating.
That sounds about right.
And there's some other steps in there. And then once you do all that, then you get your commercial pilot license, and you're like $60,000 in debt, and you're really hoping that this all works out.
Yes, and then you get a job, work there for a year, and then the world shuts down with a pandemic, and you hold on for dear life. But so far we've been really blessed, and luckily I have a business that's been able to support us as well. So we both just know that either way we have a route we can take. Right. Yeah. And I told you beforehand I was doing 10 episodes to release all at the same time. And of course, coronavirus has just been a topic for everybody. I like to think that we're at the tail end of this, so that we can kind of look back on it already and just laugh it off, right? Me too.
But it's been rough. And so was he able to get job placement as soon as he got his commercial pilot license?
So he actually went through a cadet program that they have where you can go through the whole interview process and apply and even get the flight benefits before you start the job officially with them. So while he was still in flight school, finishing up his hours because he needed 1,500 hours, he was just a flight instructor. That's how he was doing it. So the same school he was a student, he went and started teaching there to get his 1,500 hours to be an airline pilot, and passed his interview and became a cadet. So we were able to fly to LA for a fun trip on the benefits, even though he hadn't quite started the job yet, but had passed the interview. So it's a fun little perk program that they have to recruit pilots because they have a shortage and they're looking for people to come and work. And
that's 1,500 hours after he gets his commercial?
Just kind of in total. So you can count the hours from getting your privates and everything. But in total, if you don't have any like prior military experience or the like, right now the government requirements that you need 1,500 hours to fly more than a set amount of passengers.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I had looked into it years and years ago, and back in, when was this? Probably 2013, I think. And they were talking about the upcoming massive shortage that they were going to have. Like, they were already experiencing a shortage back then just because the amount of air travel had just gone through the roof.
Yeah,
everybody's using airlines.
High.
Yeah. Some of that's due to population, and some of it's due to just more people using airplanes, I guess. But the big concern was that within the next 5 to 10 years, and this was back in 2013, they were going to have a lot of these veteran pilots that had been flying for these airliners their entire lives. They were about to retire. So is that kind of smoothed out, do you think? Or did he kind of hit the sweet spot, or is there still like a huge shortage?
Well, I think he might have just hit the sweet spot because he was hired and working for them for a year before COVID hit. And so now, of course, everything's kind of on pause. It might be a couple of years until we get to the same point that we were at, just even in January and December. So, but at that point, they'll probably be hiring again and trying to make sure that when that shortage happens that we're okay. So
well, the good news is that you made it to Texas.
We did.
And economically, Texas is one of the states that performs better than any of the other ones. So
that's true. It's been a great place to grow my business, to watch him start his career too. It's kind of a jumping place for both of us, and it's just been great. The people have been so lovely and kind. We've made some great friends. We're really happy to be here.
Yeah. So with Salted Pages, you were able to kind of fill in the void that was there for for all the lack of work on the other side of the table.
I guess so. I mean, he luckily is still working and getting paid. He's just, because he's flying less, you get some of those less, per diem and things like that you usually get income with. And we were picking up overtime for him and all that kind of fun stuff. But to answer your question, yes, that has been able to fill in well. And, my business, I launched it full time last year. And so at this time last year, I wouldn't have been able to say yes to that question. Right. So it's a blessing to be able to now say that, yes, we can get by and that my business can support us, and that because it's in the digital realm, I haven't had to shut anything down.
Right. Yeah. Well, listen, if you can say that after a year of being in business that you're supporting yourself, you're doing really good.
Thank you. Yeah, it definitely took some side hustling prior to that. I had some freelance work and I had a full-time job and all that kind of good stuff. So I amped it up slowly, but I agree it is just a joy to be able to say that.
Well, from the way you're talking, it sounds like some of your clients might be remote. Like, are you still doing business in Utah?
I don't have many Utah clients. There are a lot of photographers that I'm working for. I have a really good business friend. We met through Instagram and work with a lot of the same clients. She does web design and I do copywriting, and she's over in Phoenix, Arizona. I have a graphic design agency that's North Carolina that I write blogs for. So they're just kind of all over. I've done some Canada stuff, I'm pretty sure.
What?
So yeah.
That's not American.
They're everywhere.
Have you been to Canada?
I have just been to Niagara Falls when I was a kid, and that's it.
That counts, right?
I think so. I was out on the water.
Did you have to use your passport?
I didn't have a passport, so no.
I've been to Vancouver, and that was beautiful.
I want to go to Canada, but all of the places I would want to go are so popular now that it would ruin the experience for me. So,
like what kind of places?
Like Banff, that beautiful, pristine turquoise lake. That's a place I would love to visit. It's very Instagrammable.
Yes. Okay.
And everyone goes there for that.
So that's the reason we need to get some Instagram photos at Banff?
Well, I just love the outdoors. I love hiking. I love lakes. Instagram would be a nice bonus, but I'm saying that I guess because it's so popular now, it almost drives away my interest.
Yeah. Well, that's terrible. It seems like most of the really awesome places end up getting an influx of people at some point. You can't keep a good thing to yourself. I was talking to a friend of mine from Abilene today, and we were talking about how strange it was that out of the now 8 podcasts that I've done, the episodes that I've recorded, twice now, Terlingua has come up. Do you know what Terlingua is?
No, I would not feel bad. One to bring that up.
Don't feel bad. It is the most remote, most obscure place in Texas. And for some reason, out of the people that I just met over the last couple of weeks, twice Terlingua has come up. It is a tiny little town. I think the population is like 50. It's definitely under 100.
Gosh.
It's very, very small.
Okay.
And anyway, he was just baffled that there were 2 guests that brought that up. And he's like, are you leading them into that conversation? I'm like, not at all. It just comes up.
Well, this is number 3 now.
Now this one is my fault. Okay.
We'll put it on you.
The reason I bring it up is because just like all the other places that are awesome and kind of the last kept secrets, there are no secrets anymore. And even Terlingua, this tiny little 50-person town, they're running marathons there. And I'm telling you, if you look this stuff up on Google, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's a couple of shops, a restaurant, I think, that's open for like 4 hours a day.
That's my kind of place.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the draw.
That's the kind of restaurant I would run. We'll be here for 4 hours. Come hang out, and then we'll see you later.
If you're here, cool. If not, we'll be closed. So, yeah. Anyway, the idea is the 2 guests that I had that brought up Terlingua. This is a mobile podcast, obviously.
Yes.
Here we are in your office, your beautiful office in your nice little house. You're in Central Fort Worth. But anyway, the point was, sorry folks, I'm running on, let's see, I started my day at 1:00, so I'm starting to mentally wind down, unfortunately. But the idea was to get a travel trailer or an RV, rig the thing out with cameras and microphones kind of all locked in place.
Wait, that was the idea for this mobile podcast?
Well, that's what's going to happen.
Oh my gosh.
But
okay.
I'm getting the ball rolling before
I feel
the large
like
investment.
I'm getting the...
Oh, you're coming back. Don't worry.
I'm coming back. Okay,
Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's kind of fun to turn my office into a podcast studio. That was once on my list as a thing to do, and then I decided at least for the time being, that I have other areas I want to focus on instead. But
so I've heard people say things like, "Oh, I don't think anybody would listen," or there's several reasons that people say they shouldn't. But if you already have, and you do, because I've seen it, Instagram followers or any kind of social media presence at all, you've already got your audience.
That's true.
And as far as subject, you talk about what you're doing, talk about your trip to Banff, whatever, and there's your podcast. And it doesn't even have to be a serious thing. You could just have it as kind of like a personal time capsule.
Okay, I'll come to you as my podcast coach in the future.
Oh, no.
You'll get those people.
You got about as much business being a podcast coach as I do. But anyway, I'm going to load that thing up whenever this thing comes to fruition, and we're all going to roll down to Terlingua and do a little camping trip. Oh my gosh.
I would
Y'all
love
are welcome to come. The hypothetical traveling podcast studio is already getting pretty full, but we can always meet down there.
We can just take our own car. We've got the dog, so we'll just grab him and come on down.
He'll love it.
Yeah. I love hole-in-the-wall places. I lived in this teeny town in Arizona for a couple of years when I was in high school. We had no stoplights, like 2,000 people or so that lived there.
What's the name of it?
St. John's, Arizona. It's like the northeastern side of Arizona.
How far is it from, it's I-10 right there?
Oh, I don't even know. I was like 16 years old, so I know it was 4 hours from the Grand Canyon. Like that was my key landmark that I would refer to.
Yeah. I don't know where the Grand Canyon is in relation to Terlingua, but it's like a 30-minute walk to the border. Like people go across the river to like get good tamales and stuff. So anyway, I'll quit talking about Terlingua.
I'm on board.
All right. So we've talked about your move. I wanted to talk about your email funnels. I know a little bit about that, but the type of marketing that you do kind of is more of a backstory for me. I don't know it intimately. So can you explain email funnels?
Sure. So the email funnels that I like to focus on are more of a nurturing side of a conversion funnel, and this might be a little confusing terminology for some people, but essentially what I like to do is create emails that for like small businesses are a nice welcome and introduction to a business or a product. And so for example, if I go to a website right now, maybe there's like a little pop-up form or something at the bottom that says like, subscribe here and download this free guide. So I get something out of it. Like there's a reason to subscribe. And so that gets me into this list. Well, something needs to happen after you get on this list. Otherwise, as a business who is building the subscriber list, that person's going to grow cold. So what you're trying to do is build a relationship with them, make them familiar with who you are and what you do. And so I write the emails that they get after they subscribe. So the first one, of course, is like, here's your freebie, or like, thanks for subscribing. And then thereafter, it's 6 or 7 emails that are nurturing them, welcoming them, just talking about your mission or like different values that you have or ways that you can help that person. Sometimes it's just providing free advice. Like I've written for like an wedding invitation designer, and so she would give her clients a free download of a, what was it called? Like a guest list spreadsheet. So you could download that for free and start using that to keep track of your RSVPs. And then from then on, they would get advice for planning their wedding. Like, hey, don't forget to send out like your save the dates X weeks before your wedding or X months. Yeah. And so it's just information that is helpful and valuable to them. And, of course, the goal is to get them to buy from you, but it's more of in a soft, natural way instead of like, hey, buy this now or else you have 10 minutes and the door's closing. That's not usually what I like to focus on.
Right. So it sounds like it's just to build a community, and you're doing that for each individual client.
Yes.
And then you're getting contact information residually off of each one of your clients.
Not for me or my business personally, but they have their own email platform or system that they're using. So whether it's MailChimp or Flowdesk, they have it for their own business, and the emails are coming from their business. So it's all built within that email marketing platform, and they're the ones that get the email information and then can use that to advertise things and programs that they have. But it's those first few emails that I typically focus on, and then beyond that I can help with like selling a course or selling a product that they might have.
Yeah. Well, I've used MailChimp in the past, and it sounds like I'm getting the job done, but it sounds like maybe a 6-year-old using a Crayola on a napkin versus a masterpiece in a beautiful cathedral.
Okay, sure.
Sounds like you've got it nailed down. And yeah, MailChimp, I think they got their name off of me because I feel like a chimp.
Oh my gosh. That is not a good way to interpret their brand.
Well, they're not a sponsor, and they
no,
it's
they
fine.
Know. It's fine. I've been using Flowdesk recently. It's a newer, smaller company. Theirs is very visual, which is nice, and you can build different segments. So I can have one, they can download like my copywriting do's and don'ts, and the other one can join my wait list for this course I'm launching. And so there's different areas I can put these people into depending on what they're interested in, and it's free up to a month, and then after that, it's just, a set monthly fee.
That's the best way to do it. Any software that I've ever used, if it doesn't have like a try it free version, I'm not going to do it.
I have to try it for free. It's so true.
That's the model, right? Yeah. I mean, that's...
Or you spend so much money and you figure if you're spending that much money that it must be worth it. That's what I often see as a buyer trend.
Probably like Adobe. They've got a bunch of different products, Lightroom and whatever, but I don't think they have a free trial. And they do. Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it has limited features, like limited functionality, and eventually then you just...
That's one company though that I would waive my needed
based on the brand.
A free month. Yeah. Well, they've got a good product.
See, the freebies that a lot of these businesses offer to their clients, it's kind of like that free trial. Like a lot of these people aren't going to give their services for free. Like I don't, unless it's a nonprofit I really value and believe in, I don't do anything for free. I have time commitments and a tight schedule, and so I value that with my clients and dedicating that to them. But that freebie is kind of like, here's the information, here's kind of what it's like to work with me. Mm-hmm. If you actually need hands-on help, you know where to find me.
Right. Well, and that's something that's come up. I've talked to a couple other business owners over this 10-episode spree, and that theme keeps coming up, that if you're going to do work for somebody, don't do it for free. Yes. And because free, there's no value in that. But I saw your website, and it looks amazing. You obviously know what you're doing. I saw there was a heavy list of clients on it. For you listening at home or in your car, it's www.saltedpages.com. Go check it out. If you own a business or you're thinking about starting one, this would definitely be your first step.
Thank you. Yeah, especially if you're launching a website. I like to do a lot of website copywriting for small businesses, and you can have a beautiful design and photos and products that people need, but if you don't have the writing to get them there and to help with your online presence, then you're going to struggle.
Yeah, and that's a fact. I mean, I've put together several websites myself. I've sent out these MailChimp emails, and man, I'm not totally illiterate, but whenever I start preparing something like that, it's like the dial tone comes on, and I'm just staring at the screen like, shit, I should be better at this.
The dial tone, wow, that describes it perfectly. That's what so many of my clients say. They're like, I try to write about myself and what I do, and I just hit a wall. I can talk to people, I can sell my stuff, and I can do what I do. I'm an expert at it, but I can't talk about it. I can't write about it.
Well, and it's probably a lot like trying to describe yourself as a person. It's harder for you to do it for yourself rather than somebody else to introspectively kind of from the outside looking in.
I feel like strangers give the best compliments. I love it when people describe. I'm like, wow, that's just perfect. Like I had a business owner, she's a photographer, and she did a photo shoot with me. And after working together, we had this whole custom process. She was like, your favorite color is gray. And I'm like, but it's blue. But then I look in my wardrobe and I look around my house and I'm like, oh my gosh, my favorite color is gray. She knew. And that's kind of how it is with copywriting. Like when I'm writing for businesses about them and about their services, it's kind of like that stranger side of things in terms of like giving a new perspective. But I also, do my research and take my time. I mean, that photographer took her time to get to know me, and she had seen the outfits I picked out to wear for our photo shoot. And so after working together, she was like, this is your favorite color. Mm-hmm. And I don't say that it is, but honestly, it is. Like if I really had to look through and pick one.
It's okay. Now you know that about yourself.
Now I know. It's so funny. Because gray is unappealing. That's just, what? No.
If it works for you.
But it's just a nice wardrobe color. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm 35. I have no idea what my favorite style or color, or I dress like a child, and then people have to buy me clothes because I'll just wear the same damn t-shirt.
I should do that
every week.
Is that the way to get people to buy you clothes?
Just dress like shit? Yeah.
See, the only person that ever really bought me clothes was, of course, my parents growing up. And then, like, I'd get, like, an ugly vest from my, like, grandparents or something every now and again.
Yeah.
My husband will not buy me clothes. Just nothing.
I've had friends stop me, like, we'll be going out to dinner or drinks or whatever. And I've literally had friends stop me, like, on the way out the door, like, whoa. I've got a shirt you can wear.
I may or may not be that friend. I have to be honest.
My brother in Seattle bought me this shirt.
That's sweet. Yeah, no one has bought. I buy my own clothes. I feel like most women do, and then we buy the clothes like for our men. But I am the friend that I don't police my friends per se, but my siblings and my husband, I'll be like,
I was about to ask,
ooh, are you gonna walk out wearing that? But sometimes we match. Like, we'll both get dressed, like, separate from each other, and then we go out and we look at each other and we're like, oh, shit, it happens. Like, we're in Mexico, we're at the gym, we're both wearing, like, an Under Armour black top. And, I mean, maybe we just have a lot in common in terms of our style preferences, but sometimes it's just really uncanny. And his mom says we look alike, so that just adds, like, a not good taste in my mouth.
Ooh, is she listening?
She probably will, yes. Yeah, hi, Marina. And Mom. I have to give a shout out to my own mom.
Well, I should give a shout out to Steven. I mentioned him on the shirt. Thanks for the shirt, man. We were in Vegas. When was this? I think it was last November. Might have been October. We went down to Vegas. My first time going to Vegas. And it was nothing like what I expected. That place, apparently they've cleaned it up, so it's not like the crazy version that it used to be.
Oh, so you went while it was a crazy version?
No. Like last either October or November, probably October. Yeah, and it was it was almost like the inside of a theme park, like just polished and clean. And I was expecting tigers in the bathroom and people running around selling cocaine to everybody. I don't know.
I agree. It was underwhelming for me too. I mean, I just kind of have always passed through Vegas. Like we were down there for my husband's green card at one point. And just on the way to somewhere. And so we always just stop and take some photos and then head out. And it's just a little bit underwhelming. I'm like, okay, this is it. It's literally the strip and there's not much else around here. I actually almost prefer the surrounding area. Like just give me a desert, give me Hoover Dam. Like that's great. I love that.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the town we went to, but it's right on the border. And there is a little like river that runs right through the border. If you go on this side, you're in one state, and cross, you're in the other, but you can rent like jet skis. So we rented jet skis, and the water was like, I guess it was deeper whenever we went out, and then we started coming back, and the tide went out or whatever.
Oh gosh!
And I mean, it dropped like 3 feet, and we were worried the jet skis were going to start picking up rocks because it's got the intake.
And if you're renting, those things bad. Like those contracts you sign are scary. Like it makes me not want to do anything on that jet ski. We rented once, and I was like, "Don't flip it. Don't get water in the engine. Go slower. Don't turn that fast." It just stressed me out. I'd rather just buy one and trash it on my own than to pay the rental fee. I'm so glad you know
about that because it was crazy. And like after reading through the contract, because I'm gonna read the contract.
Oh, me too.
And I'm like, hey, look, you see this? Like there were scratches, there was a dent. You know, I'm like, hey.
Taking the photos like when you're renting a car, you just gotta. This was not me.
Yeah, and then the guy, like, whenever we brought it back, he's like, just run up on the rocks and I'll get it from there. And I'm like, no, I'll pull it. I'll bring it to you.
Yeah,
I don't want to have, that's a jet ski. I'm not paying for that on my trip. I was trying to be as frugal as possible, which is like no way to live when you go to Vegas.
I have the same problem. I'll like not drink soda because I'm trying to save that couple of bucks on a soda. And then finally I just realized, you know what, Lauren, you're ruining your experience. You're ruining the experience for your family. Like my husband, I'd be like, let's not buy that right now. And I just decided if we're on vacation, we're on vacation. Yeah. If we want to eat out, I'm going to order a soda. Oh, well, they're $3. I'll not buy that when I'm at home if I really need to save.
That's the way to go. Yeah. So it sounds like you don't go into the casinos?
No, I don't gamble.
Yeah, I never have either.
Oh, that's why it was underwhelming. Maybe people who have gambled.
But I did on the trip. I did. That was the first time I've gambled. First time I've been to. Well, no, wait a minute. I've been to a Oklahoma casino before, but I played like a game of cards and left. But I sat down at the blackjack tables, and I can't remember the name of the place we were at, but I sat down there for probably 6 hours straight. And I walked out of there with like $600.
Oh.
And I brought that back. My brother, I can't remember what he's doing. He's probably sleeping in like a loser. And I went down there to like rage. And I come back and I've got all this cash. And he's like, "What did you do?" I'm like, "I want all this money." He's like, "That doesn't happen." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, this is crazy. Nobody wins that much money."
Wow.
It was like, yeah, I think it was $600. He'll have to comment on the video or the podcast.
Confirm that statement for us.
Yeah, it was substantial though. It was enough that he was shocked. So I felt pretty good about myself.
Well, then you don't need to go back because
I'm going back. And I'm going to play more blackjack. I had somebody tell me that they were like, "Yeah, you can play in Oklahoma or go to New Orleans and play." And I was like, "Okay," and got the information from him, like listened to him tell the story. And they're like, "Well, you do have to pay for like I can't remember, the ante or whatever. Like you have to pay for every hand that you bet on." And I was like, "I'm not doing that. I'll buy a ticket to Vegas. There's no ante there." Like me talking like I know how to gamble now.
Yeah,
it's my first time. And of course I win a little bit. So now I'm hooked.
Right.
I wonder if they knew. Maybe they knew it was my first time. So they're like.
And you looked like the guy that would come back, maybe.
Yeah. So they're like cutting the deck certain ways to like give me an unfair advantage.
I don't know. Then Vegas would just be overflowing with all the second timers who won the first time and are really disappointed.
Those are probably the a-holes that lose all their money though.
That you won.
You know, because I walked down there with like $100 and came out with 600. So then I'm like, ooh man, that was a pretty good percentage wins, right? If I liquidate my child's college fund, I can come back with 6 times as much.
This is so dangerous. We need to host like an intervention right here.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, this is how it happens. So those second time, big winners, they come in there and next thing you know, they're trying to sell their T-shirt to get just a little more money for one more bet.
They say the same thing about like winter sports. I don't know if you've ever done skiing or snowboarding.
I used to ski.
Yeah, that it's kind of a pricier athletic sport, but once you do it, if you catch on to it, and you keep going back and you're hooked, and you keep having to spend that money and buy new gear, buy the season tickets. I ski.
So I suck at skiing.
I suck at snowboarding, so yeah.
Okay, I'm opposite. Well, I'm not good at snowboarding. I should say I suck less at snowboarding. Like I can go from point A to point B on a snowboard, not so much on skis. I can go from point A to point B on skis, but I get there really fast. And then when I get to point B, I don't know how to stop.
Oh no. That's like my biggest fear. Mm-hmm. So I do have to add a disclaimer if my brother's listening. He's a snowboarder and we went this season and I hadn't been since last year. So I've only been once per season for the last 2 years. So I was very rusty and that was challenging. Like my legs were somehow just like out of shape. Like skiing just works you differently and you're just like squatting the whole time down the hill. Like your knees are in workout mode. So, and it was really cloudy and we went to the top like of the mountain and like I could hardly see anything. I'd never been in conditions like that. I'm on skis. He's on a snowboard. And luckily he's one of those guys that brings a speaker with him. But it was a saving grace because I could barely make out his silhouette down the hill.
But you could hear him?
And I had never been there, but I could hear him. Didn't know where to go. Didn't know where the cliff was going to be. I mean, you're on the mountainside. And after we made it down the hill to the lodge, I was like, well, I'm done for the day. I'm tired. I'm just going to be unsafe at this point. So I grabbed some hot cocoa and a cookie and I made myself comfortable.
That's the way to go.
But next year, I want to go more and take it more easy. I mean, this guy has a season pass every year, does jumps and stuff.
Which resort is this?
This was at Snow Basin Resort up by Ogden, Utah, and Huntsville, Utah.
Okay.
I learned to ski actually down in Arizona. I think it was Sunrise Ski Resort, just a little podunk, cute place. 2 lifts, I think, plus the bunny hill. But I actually really liked skiing in my college town at Sundance Ski Resort. That was a nice one where they have a lot of film festivals and whatnot. And it's just a cute place. And you get to know all the routes and it's not overwhelming and you don't feel lost. That's what I value.
I'm a little surprised to hear that Arizona has any skiing in it.
Northern Arizona. Yeah, it was a great place to learn because you're not like freezing cold but you don't want to fall down because it could be kind of slushy and then you get wet.
Rocks, right?
So I mean, I guess I went at the right time of season when there weren't quite rocks.
I busted my ass on there was a pile that I thought was all snow one season. And I told you that I like to stop kind of abruptly when I get to point B.
Yeah.
I thought that was snow and I hit some rocks and I jacked myself up.
Wow.
but I was younger and I recovered and I went down the hill. Have you ever tried the little bitty ones? I think they call them demos. They're like 3.5 feet long.
Like what am I thinking of? Describe it.
It's a ski, but it's a really short one. And I've only heard them.
Like the trickster skis.
I guess.
There's always like young teenagers
that
are doing fun tricks on them, I feel like.
I don't know. I've always thought maybe if I try skis again, maybe I should get the little stupid short ones. That way I can't go so fast that like I hurt myself.
Well, sometimes your skis can like trip up on each other. I just have old skis though. Like I bought mine when I was in college and they were used from some rental store. And so I just don't think I have the best equipment, but someone out there is going to call me out for just making an excuse for not being the best skier out there in the world.
Okay. That's okay.
That is my, my downfall, I guess, is not having the right equipment to work with.
Have you been anywhere in Colorado to ski?
No, I've just driven through.
Because I was going to ask you for a comparison between Colorado and Utah, because I've heard Utah has great skiing.
Yeah, I meet all the people that come from other places, and they always say it's great snow. So I just don't have anything to compare to besides Arizona, where I learned to ski. So I would say Utah is probably better just in terms of the amount of snow.
Ruidoso, that's New Mexico. But that's where we used to go all the time. It's cheap. It's a little closer. And, for me being so novice, it was perfect. I'd need nothing else, no higher level of I don't need a more challenging slope. So
yeah, if I can just kind of take it easy, I'm a casual skier, like I like to have fun here and there and challenge myself, but I just like to have a good time, make a morning of it, and go hang out at the lodge.
I don't know. I should probably get one more good, solid ski trip in before I get any older, because, I feel like after 40, anybody that goes skiing just has terrible stories about how they destroyed their knees, and I don't want that.
Yeah, I am in my 20s, and I'm already afraid of that.
Yeah, so. I don't want that. It's like the same reason I haven't started jiu-jitsu. I've got a buddy that's he's really into jiu-jitsu. He's done a couple of professional fights or semi-pro or whatever. And he's like, you need to try it. You really need to go. I know you're going to love it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I want to, but if I get in there and some stupid kid torques my arm the wrong way and just messes up my elbow, I'm going to be so pissed. Yeah. So there's an Amber Alert. Oh. Yep. Phone's on silent, but that didn't stop it from vibrating and messing up the audio. Just put that on the floor. Oh, yours is going now. Well, go ahead and read it. Which one is it?
Oh, I okayed it. Whoops.
Yeah, pull it back up. We both got it.
I don't know if I can pull it back up. Like, I feel like once I hit okay, it just goes
goodbye.
Away.
All right.
Yeah, but I will keep an eye. That's so terrible. That's terrible.
Well, I don't know if there's a way to, like, opt out of those, because I've gotten so... I feel like I get 2 of those a day now.
I got a lot over the last few weeks, I want to say. It's kind of scary. It just makes you jump. And then, of course, the idea of a child being taken is the most awful thing.
I know whenever they started doing that, like, I was very, okay, yeah, I'm on the lookout, mm-hmm. right? And now it's just like, Jesus Christ, and I'll shut it off. Yeah. I don't even think about it. So it's kind of lost its effectiveness, and now it's just a common annoyance.
I almost feel like they should send a photo with it. Like, for someone like me, I'm not going to... They always give you the car type, and I feel like a photo is going to be more useful to me, and it'll stick in my head. Yeah. Like, I can look at that one glimpse, like make it a meme or something. I mean, not in that comedic sense, but make it a visual that I can...
Have, like, one of those picture collages, and it could have, like, the child as the large picture, and then, like, a smaller picture of the car, like the color, make, model, and then maybe, like, another picture of the license plate.
I feel like you're making this, like, something funny.
No, I'm not. I agree. You're waiting for the hook, right?
The way you described it, I don't know. I'm like, are we describing the same thing here? But I agree. Just, I think a visual sense. I mean, visual always is going to stick in your head a little bit better.
And maybe change the damn tone, too, because it sounds like there's a tornado or something.
Or like the AOL, like just a hint AOL? Of that pitch. Like
You're not old enough to know that, right?
That was my first email. It was an AOL.
Wow.
Yep.
You're going to tell me you had dial-up too?
I'm not totally sure. I guess that gives you an answer as to my generation.
Man, I thought I was just barely old enough to remember those AOL discs that would come in the mail.
Yeah, I think my parents just used them longer than, like, you needed to. They were just old school. Like, it was at the point you didn't have to do all that stuff, and he would still just...
Do you still have your AOL email?
I do. It's like my spam email. So just when I sign up for things and don't want to get the subscriptions, I will put that in there. Don't ever check it.
Yeah, that's one of those things that dates people, though, I thought. But you're too young to know that. So.
Well, there we go. Yep.
So you're relatively new to Fort Worth.
Yes.
You told me that just recently y'all went to the stockyards. Was that today? Or?
Yeah, well, this wasn't our first time today, but my brother's visiting from southern Arizona, so we wanted to show him kind of, a slice of Texas.
Yeehaw.
And that's where we took him.
Did he buy cowboy boots or a hat?
He did talk about buying a hat, and I said, but you'll have to, like, bring it home on the airplane. And he's like, well, I'll wear it.
Yeah.
But I think he was just saying that because I don't quite picture him wearing a cowboy hat, and he did not buy one.
I have brought people here before that were like, I'm buying a hat, and then they did.
Wow.
And I was impressed.
Yeah.
And then
I was impressed.
my brother, I think the first time he came down here, he bought a pair of boots, and they were so ridiculous. I'm like, well, you'll have to tell him that you bought those in Texas, because nobody from Texas is going to believe you bought those here.
I do have to give a shout out to my husband because he bought cowboy boots from a vintage store here and like an antique store, really.
Down on Exchange? Or?
We like going to like the Benbrook Antique Mall, and then there's another one over by University, right by the Botanical Gardens or Botanic Gardens.
Trying to think of which one that is.
I forget the name of it, but it's just like another antique mall that's really just has so much in there. It's overwhelming.
There's not a whole lot right there by the Botanical Gardens.
You just kind of like turn left by the highway. So you like drive down University past TCU to drive by like ET's. Then you turn left just before the gardens and almost go on the highway, but you don't. And then it's there on the right side. But he bought it at either one of those and he like got some like touch-up stuff for the leather and just totally like almost refurbished them in one way or another, and they look great.
I think that's Montgomery Street. It kind of borders the new Coliseum.
Oh, it might be. I'm so bad with directions.
No, I am. I don't know where anything is. So.
Well, and I had a few months to not go anywhere, so it's there. I had this whole drive to like explore my backyard and get to know the town and discover all the local eats so that we could take our families there when they come to visit. And then now today my brother's here, and I'm like, shoot. What are local places that we like? Like, we just have brunch places off of Crockett, like MAShed, where we go out. And otherwise, like, I'm like, I don't know, like Local Foods Kitchen. Where else do we like? So we're looking for suggestions. And I'm vegetarian, I'm the one to so I got to give the disclaimer.
Okay. Well, I was about to say, I'm the
I took
expert.
everything off the list.
When you said vegetarian.
Spiral Diner is
Spiral,
the one. Yeah, that's vegan,
so which
is nice.
I did a vegan for like a month. And it was the hardest month of my life.
It's challenging. That's why I'm just vegetarian. I don't know if I can take the next steps. Like, I just don't eat meat, but I'll still eat cheese and dairy products.
Yeah. What about egg?
I'll eat egg because I just don't get protein. So
need
that's
the protein.
Kind of one of the ways that I get it. But
so when I found Spiral, I was like 2 weeks into it, and I was ready to eat my arm off. And Spiral, what did they had? They have a whole bunch. It was the breakfast scramble. It was a bowl with like all this stuff in it.
And it's not real egg. Like but it tastes just like it.
But it's really good.
Yeah.
It did have
better.
It did have like a really weird like aftertaste though. And I don't know what that was about, but yeah, I think it was the cheese.
Well, it's weird because
which is not cheese.
Everything on their menu has like fake meat in it, or like you can order like chicken strips, but it's not actual chicken, and you can order eggs, but it's not actual eggs, but it looks and kind of has a similar texture. So it's really confusing for people like me that I pretty much don't eat anything that looks or tastes like meat because I don't eat meat. So you go there and you're like, so this is all vegan, right? And they're like, yes.
Like, seriously?
And you're like, but this is like similar. I mean, it's been like I went vegetarian in August. I'm like, okay, it's like been a few months, but like I don't know. Like, this is just creeping me out a little bit. So I have trouble because I don't eat meat, that when it looks and tastes a little bit like it just messes with you.
Yeah. Are you doing it for like a dietary, or are you trying to save the animals?
Both. I've always loved animals. I'm a big dog person, and
we should never eat dogs.
I never eat dogs. No. But I just never loved. Like, we would go out to a burger chain, and I'd love the fries and the shake, but the burger, I'm just like, eh. So like, it was an easy lifestyle switch because I never loved steak and burgers and chicken tenders. It was just more like I started liking more salads and just healthier plant-based foods. So but one, it's healthier, and two, I care about animals, and three, I guess it was an easier switch for me. And so it was just a personal decision I made. I didn't announce it to the world or anything. Right. Some people might be like, oh, what? She doesn't eat meat.
You're not, you're not doing it to like virtue signal.
Right. It's just a personal thing for me. And if I go out with friends, I'm like, oh, by the way, but I'll let them choose the place and I'll just eat whatever I can or ask them to take off the chicken.
Yeah, for sure. Did you notice that it was kind of difficult moving from Utah to here to maintain that diet?
Well, I only went vegetarian just a month before we moved here. So I didn't have a huge opportunity. Okay. But I mean, here there are a lot more like barbecue places, and I feel like Tex-Mex is such a big thing. Mexican food. And so it has been challenging because I do love Mexican food, but I don't want meat. But there have been some good places where I can get like a nice bean-based chimichanga and not feel like a kid who's eating a cheese quesadilla.
There's a place, because that was McCart. It's south of I-20. We're just like half a mile north of I-20 right now. But if you go on the other side of I-20, what is on the other side of McCart?
What's on the other side of McCart? Like which?
Like going east.
If you passed my house and kept going this way or that way? Like from.
If you go towards Dallas.
If I go towards Dallas. If I keep going down McCart, I reach another suburb, and I kind of I feel like the road ends there. I have a friend that lives down there. They have a house they're renting. Right. And so that's the farthest I've been in that direction.
I think is it Forest Park? Something like that.
Oh.
Well, anyway.
Potentially.
go one block down or the next exit.
Okay.
So past McCart going towards Dallas, next exit.
Okay.
Okay. If you take that street and go south, and I think it is Forest. I might be wrong. But anyway, go south on that, and I want to say less than a mile on the left-hand side, there's this tiny little Mexican food place. Mm-hmm. And I was eating there whenever I was doing the vegan thing. And if you go in there and tell them that you want a no-meat enchilada, they will make you a custom enchilada that is really, really, really good.
Right, and not just cheese.
No.
Yeah, no. See, I'm like, I don't want to be, I'm not a kid. I don't just want cheese and tortilla. Like, right. I guess that's quesadilla more like.
I'm a grown-up.
Yeah, give me some vegetables at least.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think if I ever do it again, I just need to have my shit together. I'm going to have a diet plan and like, because I was just like, all right, well.
Let's do it.
It's morning time and I'm a vegan. What am I going to eat? And that does not work.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like if I did ever get there, vegetarian is a good pit stop on the way towards veganism. And if not, it's a great place to hang out. I've enjoyed it. I don't see myself going back unless I have some weird health issues or something where for some reason they tell me I can't do it any other way.
I was experimenting for a while with different diets, trying to kind of dial in, figure out what was good for me. My blood pressure was through the freaking roof. And I was talking to somebody, and they're like, yep, I had the same issue, and I went vegan, and it changed my life. And he said, I don't care about animals. I didn't do it for that reason. But I've been a vegan for a year, and now my blood pressure has dropped below, like, normal. I was like, oh, okay, well, let me look into that. Yeah. I did not have the same results. But it's also because I was going to like Whopper and getting the Impossible Burger.
Which is so expensive.
And so nasty. So nasty.
It's not the best, but sometimes that's just, if everyone else wants Burger King, that's what I'll grab too.
I was so hungry though whenever I ate that thing. I did not care. And then I had like 3 or 4 more like later on because I would just get so hungry. I'm like, I gotta have something vegan.
Yeah.
Chipotle was really good because they've got some kind of substitute meat thing that's pretty good. And
Local Foods Kitchen, that's kind of probably my top restaurant here in Fort Worth. That is off of Hewlin, kind of close to Trader Joe's.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they, I think it's all just locally sourced food. It's this cute little, it almost looks like you're going towards an office complex, but it's just set on the side of a strip mall, and they have a cute outdoor patio, and there's a really nice Tex-Mex salad that's vegetarian that I like to order. And
do they have like vines growing up the wall?
Yes.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
That's it. That's one of my favorites. A client actually brought me there for a meeting, and I brought my mom back, and it's a top go-to for me. Well,
I'll tell you what, I know you're vegan or vegetarian now.
Yes.
But if you ever just want to impress the hell out of everybody that comes in a group or whatever, you got to have some money set aside for this. This is not casual dining.
Okay, where are we going?
Lonesome Dove.
Lonesome Dove. I'm writing this down.
Yeah. definitely. And if you forget or you lose that piece of paper that you're writing on, just Google the best damn place in Fort Worth to eat.
Oh, okay.
It's a culinary experience. That place is not just a restaurant. It's
what
incredible.
is their focus?
I mean, if it used to breathe, they have killed it, and they have turned it into the best thing that's ever been eaten.
Okay, but like American Tex-Mex, just in general, everything.
I want to. It's like.
Is that why it's called Lonesome Dove? Because they killed the whole family?
I think it's called Lonesome Dove after the miniseries. There was a miniseries called Lonesome Dove, and it's a good movie.
All right.
Good miniseries. Right. I think that's where they got the name, but I'd have to talk to Tim Love. That's the I think that's the owner.
Shout out to Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Love. We'd love to have you on our podcast. So Joe Rogan just did a shout out. Joe Rogan is he has a podcast. Are you familiar with it? It's like my go-to podcast.
Okay.
Anyway,
it's not ringing a bell.
No, it's okay.
Sometimes I hide under a rock
here
in this office specifically.
If you don't listen to podcasts religiously, it wouldn't surprise me that you hadn't heard of it. But I think most people that are inside the podcast world know that podcast specifically. But anyway, he was talking about Lonesome Dove, and I'm like, oh, he was here. Joe was here. And he didn't even say hi. But
I love how you take that personally.
Yeah, for sure.
I need to develop that mindset. Like, they need to get in touch with me.
Right, yeah. Like, he has to know. I have a Facebook account, so surely he's... Anyway.
Surely.
But no, I had kangaroo.
So really, it is everything that lives and breathes.
I think I had kangaroo.
Oh, man.
I had a bunch of other like really random stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can eat that?
Yeah.
They don't have laws against that?
It's fascinating.
I'll
have
two.
We'll eat.
Yeah, I'll have 2 of that. So it's really good. But it's not just the food. The food's incredible, but like the service and like the guy that cooks the food and prepares it, like brings it out and explains to you like, okay, you Neanderthal, this is how this is supposed to be eaten. And this is how the flavor profile is going to unfold in your mouth.
That's
and
so good.
This is the wine that you should pair with this.
I might have to go there and like get notes for like copywriting projects for like restaurants.
Yeah.
You know?
And I made the guy in my imaginary scenario sound kind of condescending. He wasn't. But I felt like he should have been, because when he took one look at me, he's like, this guy shouldn't be here.
I do hate that when you go to a place and they're like, I'm like, just give me my food and I'm going to leave because this is really awkward.
I felt like I did thank everybody, but I felt like so humble to be there. I was so thankful.
Those are the best experiences. Like, we went to a bed and breakfast in Galveston. We decided we want to drive over to the beach, and we were able to bring our dog to this historic hotel. And we walk in and we just were expecting like just B&B, like whatever. But they like offer us just like free drinks, you know, like a happy hour and olives. And it was just like, wow, and fresh cookies.
So it's staffed. Like,
yeah,
the whole
there's
time,
just one person there that does all this. And she like gives you a drink, and then she takes you up to your room and like gives you a little tour, and you're like, wow, okay, like where are we staying exactly? And then in the morning we literally like had breakfast, talked to the other guests. Like, this is a very first real, like, I guess B&B experience for me. I've done Airbnb, but usually you're the only one there.
Nobody's cooking for you.
Yeah, no one's cooking your breakfast. Darn it. So this place, it was really interesting to be there, and there was another couple celebrating their wedding anniversary like we were, and we're just talking about what restaurants to eat at in town, and it was just quite the experience, and it just made us feel welcome and inviting, and it was... Yeah, we wanted to go back for sure.
Do you remember the name of it?
It's called Schaefer House.
Schaefer House.
We were almost driven to it because it's a German name.
Yeah.
So Schaefer House, like Haus, is, and you can spell it wrong, but you'll probably find it. It's on the island of Galveston, so not many to choose from.
Yeah. Throw a rock. You're going to find it.
It'll be there.
Well, it's on the recording now, so I'm going to find it.
Okay, true.
That sounds like a good one. Well, we've done close to an hour of this recording. We only got about 40 minutes of video because I'm an idiot. But, thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you for having me.
You know, I tell all my guests, anytime you have a project coming up or the next book you write.
I guess. I've edited books, but I haven't written my own yet. There's many drafts.
But I'm 100% serious. Come on anytime. Just holler at me. I'm actually not that far from you. I'm like 15 minutes away. So
neighbors.
And pop in. If your husband wants to join us next time, I'd love to hear some awesome stories about flying the friendly skies. I think that's actually a Southwest thing, but
I think it's, oh shoot, I'm going to be in trouble for not remembering their tagline. It's like, we're here to, great is what we're going for. Yeah, that's kind of what.
Great is what we're going for?
Yes.
Listen, I bought a ticket on an airplane. It better not be what you're going for. It better be what I get.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't like that slogan.
They have this cute video. I like it.
Okay.
I am an advocate for them. They're a good company. They
I'll
treat us well.
rethink it. Yeah. All right. Well, folks, thank y'all for listening. Be sure to leave me some comments. Let me know how many times I screwed up. Call me out on all my screw-ups so that I get better at these for you. Don't forget to check out www.saltedpages.com. Thank you, Lauren, and pronounce your last name for me one more time, and I promise to God I'll practice this in a mirror.
Okay, it's Lauren Kutschke.
Kutschke.
Yes, and apparently I'm only 98% right, anyways, according to my husband, so you can't even trust me.
Well, I mean, there's a gray area there, right?
True, it's all up to interpretation. I could just decide I am... I don't know, Lauren Cuckoo or something, just pick anything.
And you don't have the accent. I mean,
I don't. Once I add it in, it sounds a little bit better, but also just people try to copy that and it just overwhelms them. So
that's probably where you're coming up short, though, right? It's the accent.
I guess so. Yeah. Kutschke. I guess there we go.
Well, it sounds perfect to me. What the hell do I know? All right. Well, thank you again, and everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.